I would like to repeat something that I shared with our friends in Israel on the Shabbat that we were there, and so I would like to share that a little with you as well. It says in Parshat Chukat, Bamidbar, Numbers 20, it says, Vayishlach Moshe Malachim Mikadesh El Melech Edom. That Moshe sent messages to the king of Edom and said the following. And they should say, so said your brother Israel. Now, Edom, we know, is, in fact, the last Galut is called, the present Galut is called Galut Edom.
This one?
This one. It's called Galut Edom. The last one, the most terrible one, that we will learn shortly in the Zohar. And all of a sudden, the message from Moshe is, tell the Melech Edom that so said your brother Israel. All of a sudden, Israel becomes Edom's brother. And what should you tell him? That you know all the troubles that we have experienced in the Midbar, and you know that we went down into Mitzrayim. We were there a long time, and we suffered at the hands of the Mitzrayim. And the pasuk continues, and we cried to Hashem, and He heard our voice, and He took us out of Mitzrayim. Now, what do we want from you? We want the Passover. We will take nothing. We will not even drink of your water. We shall not divert right or left. This is all in chapter 20, verses 13 and onwards. And what did Edom say? Lo tavor bi. I do not give you any permission to pass through. Because if you do, I shall come out with my sword towards you. And then they plead again. Anything we take, we shall pay. And he says again, no, you shall not pass through my land. Abayese Edom nikrato, and Edom went out against the Jews. Ba'am kaved b'yad chazaka. Vaymaen Edom niton et Yisrael avo b'gvolo vayet Yisrael melav. What's this dialogue here? In other words, all of a sudden, Moshe and the Jews, that nothing stopped them all along, and now they have to come to Edom and plead with Edom to please let them go through. And what does Edom say at the end? No. And what happens when he says no? They accepted his decision. So I explained here that actually this is speaking about Zman Yemot HaMashiach, because Balak is a continuation of actually what happened here in these few psukim, which are not understandable. Because Moshe could have wiped these people off with the stroke of any of the Ayin Bet Shemot. I mean, he had no difficulty. The same way as miracles were created by what? By the Shemot, by uttering certain combination of letters. He could have done the same thing here. And here he's got to plead. And they said no, and he accepted that plea. And so let's say a Shoah, that when the Jew came into the camps and he was suffering, he would then come over and plead his case to the Germans, and they refused to listen. They refused to listen. And we know what happened here. Why did not Moshe decide to wipe these people off and go past through the land? Why didn't he do that? Because this is not a story of a war. This is a story of what will happen to the Jew if he continues to behave as he behaved throughout Parshat Chukat, throughout Parshat Balotcha, that the minute there was something wrong, he didn't have a little water, he forgot everything and said, "Where's water?" Every time he forgot and asked for again and again and again. In other words, he was never satisfied. He was never satisfied. So he's saying here will come a time when you will come to Edom and you are going to plead, but we're brothers. We are human beings like you are. Have mercy. They will have no mercy, because until the Jew learns that he has to have mercy on his own brethren, and unfortunately today we see that there isn't that kind of brotherly love between Jews as it should be. So do not expect, when you say Edom, you are from Esav. Don't you remember we come from the same father? How can you forget that we're brothers? And he will not listen. He will not listen. That's what this is about. So now we come to Bilam and Balak. What did they think? The same thing happens again. Two nations who have seen everything, have experienced everything, are now prepared to destroy Israel. On what basis? If the greatest nation, the Middle Kingdom, the Egyptian Middle Kingdom, was overthrown by the Jew, and there was no stronger nation ever in history as the Egyptian, what did they think? What did they plan? And how did they, in this entire dialogue, back and forth, there's much of it which appears to be even superfluous, but what did they think? How were they going to destroy the Jew in their own minds? So the Zohar explains that we are not discussing, as in Parshat Chukat, a literal explanation that when Edom says, "I will come out with my army and you have to fear me." Why would the Jew have to fear Edom? The answer is because in Zman Yemot HaMashiach, if the Jew does not behave properly, he can't make a move. Nothing is there to support him. Even Moshe could not support these Jews at that moment. They were locked into their own trap. Not the trap of the Germans, not the trap of the Spanish Inquisition, nor the trap of the destruction of the temple. Who brought all this on? They themselves. They themselves.